I've received a lot of messages from people saying that they're not really sure where to start to improve their writing skills. So, this is a very broad topic. There are so many areas to cover, and there are also different types of writing styles intended for different situations. But the good news is we have something in common to focus on, and that's going to be the clarity and accuracy of your message delivery, which is basically going to be your writing piece. Hi, I'm Nono, and I'm going to be sharing some ideas that I think are going to be useful for you to apply and enhance your message delivery. Okay, so let's take a look. So, we're going to focus on some ways and suggestions that you can use to improve your writing in general. This is not intended for exam practice or preparation because that would need a lot more details than this, and it also depends on the question format that your exam has. So, these are some topics that we're going to be covering in today's video. Accuracy in grammar and vocabulary, organizational details, coherence and cohesion, idea generation, and we have idea repetition. For accuracy in grammar and vocabulary, it would be best to work with your professional English teachers to figure out your common mistakes or weaknesses. Most of the time, we usually start studying this area with a broad brush approach, which is we do everything, including your potential weaknesses, but we don't know what they are yet. And it takes a long time to get to where you want to. So instead, try starting with your weaknesses and common mistakes that you see and you have in your writing, and also based on the feedback that you got from your teachers. So, in the organization of your writing piece, the basic parts of it should be easily discernible. So, it should have an introduction, body, and conclusion, generally. So, there are different types of writing and tones that are intended for different situations, like I said earlier, but most of them will have a general and similar idea that looks like this. Okay, so in your introduction, you should have some background information if that's necessary and required by the writing style that you're going for. If that's a narrative writing style or you're writing a report, something like that, it should have a general overview of the situation you're writing about and you're approaching. And generally, the introduction is a map or overview of the main body of the writing piece that you're going to be doing. So, in the body paragraphs, though, the main subject of your writing should be broken into smaller parts. You can use smaller paragraphs, and these parts are going to be explained further. You can use general examples, evidence, or even sometimes research findings, and of course, it depends on the situation that you are in. Okay, so finally, the conclusion. The conclusion is usually a summary of the entire writing piece, and it also sometimes includes a final outlook on the topic, which provides closure. And finally, smooth transitions, because if we don't have that, it's hard to distinguish between one part and the other. So, what this does is it indicates a change in the topic of different paragraphs, introducing new ideas, introducing more details, and so on. Okay, so let's see the next slide for this. In each paragraph that you will be writing, there should be a topic sentence, and we also call it a thesis statement, but it basically means the same. So it's having a main idea written as a sentence to help the reader know what to expect in the paragraph following this statement. And after this, we have to explain the main subject that we're going to be talking about, which is almost like explaining the topic sentence that you just provided. And also, when you're doing this, we can refer back to a certain idea discussed in the previous paragraphs or to the main subject of your whole writing piece. So, this is going to help you in further explanations, like we can see in point number 2. Okay, so let's go to point number 3, which is link or connect ideas from previous paragraphs and or title. When you're doing this, you can also use indicative words like, as mentioned above, according to the question, according to the problem stated in whatever paragraph that you have already done, and so on. And you can do this in so many ways that's suitable in the situation to make it obvious that you are referring to a certain part of your writing. What this does is it ensures a connection to the previous parts of your writing piece or essay or whatever, and also the main subject that you're writing about, which is going to be a title, a question, or whatever it is. And you can also use cohesive devices like what's more, in addition to this fact, while, in contrast to, and so on. But we have to be very careful to not use it too much, like having them in every single sentence. But occasional use should be fine. And we have idea generation. So before we go into this step, we have to make sure that we have enough or sufficient foundation, which is going to be reading. Now, it depends on what you want to read, especially something that brings your interest, and to provide examples, general examples, or just research findings. You can read factual information or just research paper publications on the internet, on websites. So this is a potentially helpful tool for you to read. Okay, so while doing this, you also need to have an instructor with you alongside. Maybe they will be able to give you advice on which materials you should read, you should focus on based on your needs or weaknesses. The next step after this is going to be practicing spontaneity and momentum. So we have to bear in mind we're not preparing for any exam. We're just improving writing in general, like we discussed earlier. When you're trying to write an essay after this step, don't pressurize yourself too much because it's going to seize your creativity. It's going to stress you out. It's not good. Just try to go with the flow of your ideas based on what you have read. So the next bullet point, it says, from what you learned during reading, which is the first step, you'll be able to abstract relevant facts. So that's what we mean, right? We want to use spontaneity and momentum to write. Okay, finally, we have idea repetition. So this is something we want to avoid. So in number 1, extending a certain idea. This is very similar to what we just looked at, which is further explaining a topic sentence. It's similar to that idea. Solidifying it with background information is further explaining this and backing this up with relevant examples. And approaching it from a different perspective may allow you to draw different conclusions or to conclude with different outlooks on the same topic, and to suggest some other possible suggestions to a problem. And that is all for this video. I really hope it helps, and thank you so much for staying till the end. And that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in and for letting me be part of your learning journey if something from this video helped. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one.